What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to walk you through steps to take to flatten your wasteboard on the Apprentice for the very first time. I'm going to be using my PC, which is pretty cool because I'll be able to design the file I need right here and then continue to control the CNC through the RealTime CNC software. It's also extra cool on my laptop because it's touchscreen. The touchscreen makes it pretty fun. Okay, so let's design our file. Let's hop into Vectric. And just in case you're wondering, you can also control the Apprentice with a MacBook. You can download the RealTime CNC software to your Mac and control it there as well. You just have to make sure whatever design software you're using is able to function with a Mac. And if it can't, you can always get Parallels, which is a program that allows Mac users to basically function with Windows as well. All right, so I'm gonna design the file with you guys right now. My wasteboard I made it a little smaller than the cut area. I did about 16 1/4 rather than 16 1/2. It's long because I just didn't feel like cutting the pieces down again, to be honest. So it's 20 1/2. So it obviously won't be able to flatten that back 4 inches, but we'll say it's 16 1/4 wide here. And we'll go 16 1/2. Thickness, I'm just gonna keep it 75 because it doesn't really matter. Zero off the material surface. XY is gonna be front left and hit OK. So that entire thing is my wasteboard. So we've got to make a square. And I'm going to go ahead and put the exact dimensions in that I just said, 16.25. That's my wasteboard width, 16 1/2. And make sure it's an actual square with no radius or anything goofy like that. Create that square, close, grab your edit objects tool, which is your transform mode, where it'll allow you to grab what you just made. And I always forget how to center it, but I feel like I just did. We'll go to this tool, Align Selected Objects, which is F10, and just align to material and click it in the center just to confirm that it's actually centered. And that's already your toolpath. So like we're moving right along. Come over to your toolpaths tab, top right, put the pin down so it doesn't go flippy floppy on you. That is a technical term. Please make note of that. And then we're going to do a pocket toolpath. So start depth is 0. That's going to be the top of the wasteboard. Cut depth, maybe we'll do 0.625. We'll swap the bit to be a 1 inch, which would be here, the 1 inch surfacing bit. This is what we're using here. It does have 3 flutes. I'm not going to do that deep of a pass depth. Let's just try the 0.0625 and see what happens. See if it might be able to do this in one pass. If for some reason I see a low spot towards the middle, I will likely pause the job right on my screen here, cancel it, and I will lower that Z a little bit more. I won't have to go back to the file and change anything. I will just lower my Z a tiny bit to account for that potential low spot, and I'll restart the file. We'll see what happens when we get there. I don't think I'm gonna do 400 inches per minute. Maybe let's try 200 and just see. We can always dial it up if we're seeing that it's conservative. Half the plunge rate, tool number 5, sure. We'll just remember that this is tool number 5. I don't know if it matters exactly for our purposes today since we're not using multiple bits. We're gonna remove that 1/4 inch end mill, and we're gonna do the raster so it goes back and forth rather than that way, but that's fine too. Let's name it. Let's be classy. Apprentice. Well, I guess that's what I need to name the file. Apprentice Flattening. Pocket. Calculate. I want to teach you a little bit about toolpaths right now. I want you to think of your pocket toolpath, that pink dotted line, as a fence. And that fence, that's a strong perimeter. Your bit that you program is not going to be allowed to go beyond the fence. So when it starts working its way along the fence and it gets to the corner, it can't go beyond that line. So it can't get the corner. So it has the rounded geometry and it's going to curve around the corner and miss the material that's in the corner effectively. So let's take a look. We preview the visible toolpath here to see what our bit is going to do. Okay, this is going pretty fast, but you can see it went around the corners and it couldn't go beyond the boundary of our toolpath. So that pink dotted line, that square that we drew, it basically acts like a fence and says, no, you cannot go beyond here. And I think for a while I was curious as to whether it was the center of the bit. Now we're talking about a pocket toolpath here. The center of the bit is not going to be on the line. The pocket is a perimeter, and it's going to say that your bit cannot go beyond that perimeter line. So let's slow down the preview and watch that again and see what it does with the corners. If only I make sure to click this box. So see, it rides along the perimeter. It cannot go beyond it. Therefore, it's going to miss the material in the corner. So here's how we're going to get around that. We're going to go ahead and stop this preview, double click on the toolpath to go back to it. Go back to your 2D view up here. Select the square and go back to your drawing command or draw rectangle. And let's just make it significantly bigger all around. I'm going to go 16.75 by 16.75. I'm going to apply that, close it. We're going to recalculate this, not changing anything else. Go back and reset our preview so we can see it again. And we're going to see if that fixed our problem. And so it did, because we essentially moved that perimeter beyond our wasteboard so that it now is able to go past our 16.25 by 16.5 wasteboard and clear all the material. No ridges, no corners left behind, no going back with the chisel later to finish flattening. We wouldn't do that. This is how you get around that, is by just making your toolpath pocket bigger than your wasteboard so that it can allow the full geometry of your bit to travel beyond the edges of your wasteboard and still be within the cutting capacity of the machine, because the center of the bit hasn't gone beyond that overall 16.5 by 16.5. I think. Okay, so that looks perfect. It's completely clear, perfectly flat. That is what we're going to go with. We're going to close out the preview tab. We are going to save this to our computer, which is really cool because the computer is also controlling the machine. So I don't even have to go find my thumb drive. I can just save it to my computer and open it up through RealTime CNC right here. So visible toolpaths to one file. This is our flattening pocket. We do not have the Apprentice set up in our list yet. We're just going to make sure we choose the Redline series, because that is what gets us to the Onefinity Redline post-processor, and that's the important part. So now we can just save the toolpath, and we'll just save it right here. And then we can come into our RealTime CNC user interface, which looks so cool. We do need to home our machine. I'll go ahead and do that while we wait. And we're all homed, and now we can find our file. If you want to expand this menu, you can, so you can see kind of more what these buttons mean if you don't remember what the icons mean. But I'm going to go to Run and hit Open, and then we're going to go back to our file, which we saved in Onefinity file, and the Apprentice Flattening Pocket NGC. And just remember, if you save the file just as your CRV Vectric file on your computer, that is not the one you want. That's your working file. you want the NGC, that's the actual G code. So we'll open that up. You can see our rendering here, which is cool. That's not in the right place right now, but once we zero it and everything, should move into the correct spot. And it's telling us it's gonna take about 3.5 minutes to run. It's really cool to see the estimate right there. So let's go ahead and load up our bit and get zeroing. Before I forget, I wanted to mention to you guys, in order to place these slats on my wasteboard, I put a little bit in this chuck and I just jogged it around to find its kind of max jog area. And I lowered the bit down. You can kind of see some pencil marks here. And I just traced where the bit landed, just so I knew where its max travel area was. And that's what led me to place the slats and everything here. Tighten this bit in. Should you zero with a bit that has a sharper geometry so that you can truly get it on the corner? Yes. Are we going to do that right this moment? This is why you're supposed to watch Stone's video for precise how-tos. You watch my videos to get educated on real-life applications. Definitely a more accurate way to do this is to actually use at least a 1/4 inch bit. A V-bit is perfect for zeroing XYZ, but I'm just giving you an honest real life look at what I do when I'm not making parts for NASA. All right, so we have homed the machine. We have zeroed our X, Y, and Z, and we are ready to run our wasteboard flattening file. Well, okay, we are going to, all right. I think what we have discovered is the fact that I might have programmed the cut a little too deep. What do you guys think? I'm thinking, yeah, let's explore this. So we were doing the profile pass and it just dug in too deep. And that must mean we have a high spot back here because we were fine here. I probably should have done less than a 1/16 of an inch digging in. So we'll go ahead and adjust that, or maybe just raise up the Z and run it again. Here's one of the shortcomings of having a laptop tethered to the machine so close. It gets pretty dusty. As you can tell, I highly recommend having your SuckIt dust boot in place when you're doing a flattening function like this because it is very messy and you do not want your laptop looking like that. Let's go ahead and switch this to be less than that because I think that's a little aggressive. Let's do 0.03125, half of that again. So we're looking at a 32nd at a time. My bad, okay? We redid the file, programmed it to do 2 shallower passes that are a little less aggressive, and recalculated, resaved it, reopened it, redid everything. I'm not gonna change the 0 because I changed the file, which was convenient because my dust-covered computer was right here. So I updated the file and now we're gonna run the file again. Because I canceled that last job, I went ahead and rehomed the machine. Always a good just-in-case measure. And we're gonna go ahead and start the new file now. There you go. The wasteboard on the Apprentice is flattened, and I will go ahead and upload this file on the forum in case you want to use it for yours. If you want to reference exactly how I did this spoil board, go back and watch the unboxing of the Apprentice to get a better idea of how I chose to set my wasteboard up. Hope that helped. Catch you on the next one.